Hey, hello and welcome everybody. Today I'll be taking a look at and reviewing the Type 64. This is the Tier 6 Chinese light tank. Alright, so the Type 64 sits right here in the Chinese tech tree, and it will set you back 3,500 gold. It can act as a crew trainer for your Chinese light tanks here, but its main role, in my opinion, is playing Stronghold battles. So, the Type 64, it's pretty well known for just being used by a lot of top clans in their tier 6 strongholds, and this is because it's a premium tank and it makes pretty good credits, as well as it's fast, so the stronghold battles will go faster and you'll get more battles in as compared to, say, you were playing a heavy tank. So usually you'll have a whole team of fast tanks. So that's what it's mostly used for, but of course you can play it in pubs as well, and that's what I'll mainly be focusing on today. Alright, so let's start off by talking about the gun. It's got a 76 millimeter gun, and it's actually the exact same gun that is on the T37. So T37 is probably the main competitor to the Type 64. It's very similar. So let's compare the guns of both tanks. So they're both 76 millimeters. They both have the exact same rate of fire, 18.2 rounds per minute. But the T37, the Tier 6 American non-premium light tank, has the better penetration. It's got 150 with the AP and 199 with the APCR, where the Type 64 just has 128 and 177 with the APCR. So this can be a problem. Since you're a light tank, you get +3 matchmaking, so you'll be facing Tier 9s. So the 177, you're not really going to be contesting Tier 9, some Tier 9 mediums, Tier 9 heavies, Tier 8 heavies from the front. So that's where you just want to hold your shots. The damage is identical across the board. Type 64 is slightly less accurate and has slightly longer aim time. However, the advantage comes with the Type 64 due to the fact that Type 64 can fit a gun rammer, where the T37 it cannot use a gun rammer as its piece of equipment. It's because it has an autoloader as one of its other guns, so you just can't put a gun rammer on this tank. But the T37 can, which means the T37 will have, at the maximum, this is the maximum, you cannot increase this DPM at all. It's 2588 is the max DPM, and the max DPM of the T37 is 2379. So the Type 64, it's slightly worse penetration, slightly worse gun handling, but it has slightly more DPM. So the guns, we can say they're about equal. T37, I'd still probably rather have the T37 gun just because of the better handling and aim time and such, and penetration. Oh, another thing to mention is the Type 64, the gun, the ammo capacity of the tank is very low. It takes 45 rounds, where the T37 takes, what is that, 50 rounds? So I guess it's not that big of a difference, but the ammo capacity can be quite a problem for this tank, as we will see later. So you do want to hold your rounds and not just shoot at tanks that you'll have no hope of penetrating with your fairly low penetration. Another thing to mention about the gun is it has minus 10 gun depression and 20 elevation, which is really good. And it's minus 10 all around the tank, so you're not going to have, actually, I'm not sure about the back, but it's not a problem. So you're going to have really good gun depression in this tank. It's not like other Chinese tanks where you have like minus 3 gun depression. This tank, it's based off like a Hellcat, so you have minus 10 gun depression, which is really great. Which is actually, it's also 1 degree more than the T37, so that's an advantage you have. Alright, so let's just talk about the armor really quick. Not that there is much to talk about. We've got 25, 12, 19, 25 on the front of the turret, 12 all around. So basically, there's just no armor. It's complete paper. It's one of the softest tanks in the game. If another Type 64 is shooting at you, so it has a 76 millimeter gun, which means it'll overmatch the strongest armor on the tank, so it's literally impossible to bounce. Since 25 times 3 is 75, you have a 76 millimeter gun on here. So if you're shooting another Type 64, even if you hit the front plate at a ridiculous angle, like 90 degrees here, you will penetrate because you'll overmatch it. Also, HE rounds will almost always penetrate you unless they like dig into your tracks or something, but you'll get demolished by HE, and you only have 580 hit points, which means HE rounds from 122s and such will one-shot you. Basically, you do not want to get shot in this tank. You'll get destroyed, you'll get penetrated every single time, you'll never bounce a shot, and you will lose almost all your hit points. And for the mobility of this tank, the little in-game UI is giving it a rating of 829, which is like really high. It's one of the highest in the game. So we've got a 72 top speed and 23 in reverse, with a 500 engine power and 21.46 horsepower per ton, which is really high, and also a ridiculous traverse speed of 76, or not 60, 66. So this tank is really fast and really quick, turns really well. It's basically one of the fastest tanks in the game. It's good terrain resistance. It's basically fast everywhere. I can't really think of any tanks that are faster. Maybe the RU, maybe the Bulldog, but yeah, this tank is extremely quick. Alright, so here I've got the Type 64 compared with all the other Tier 6 light tanks, and Type 64 has the best camo rating of any of them, which is kind of surprising considering that Type 64 is actually one of the largest. I think it might be the largest Tier 6 light tank, which is a disadvantage, but it still somehow retains the highest camo factor. The MT25 has slightly higher camo rating after firing, but very marginal, and it's not as sneaky when it's still or moving. It's probably just because the MT25 has a very small and useless gun. The 12T is much smaller, for example, but it's not quite as sneaky as the Type 64 for some reason. So that's quite a positive for the Type 64. Very sneaky, very well hidden tank. Now, as for the view range, it has 390, which is tied for the highest in its tier and class, which is quite impressive considering it's a premium tank, and usually premium tanks would be a little lower on these things. But tanks such as the T37, 385, 5916, 380, and the MT25, 370, and the only other tanks with 390 as well are the VK and the T21, which means when you have a skilled crew like I do with Brothers in Arms and Recon, situational awareness, and food stuff, my view range is up to 484, which is pretty good for a piercing camo of other tanks. Alright, that's about it for the stats of the tank. Let's move on to what equipment you can be putting on this guy. So, click on here. You can see the equipment. It is somewhat limited since it does have the open turret, so you don't get that fence, and there's no option for a vertical stabilizer. So it's going to leave you with two obvious choices off the bat, which is the gun rammer and the optics. Those are for sure. It's not even a debate whether you want to put those on. So that's going to leave you with one equipment slot after putting on those the two clear best choices of equipment to increase your view range and increase your DPM. So I've gone with an enhanced gun laying drive. That's because the aim time on this tank is not very good, and you do not want to expose for very long. So this is just really useful. You want to aim in quickly and poke your tank out for as little time as possible and hit those shots so you don't waste your limited ammo. So that's what I've gone with. I think that's the next best choice, but you could also go with a camo net, I guess. I don't think that's a good idea. Binos, I guess. Again, I don't think that's a really good idea. I think the gun laying drive is where you would go on that. So rammer, optics, gun laying drive, just all about the handling and the view range for this guy. But I mean, it would be better if this was a vertical stabilizer, but what can you do? If the tank can't fit that. Okay, and crew skills here. So I have a crew for, what is this, the Wheezy 132. I don't really play that tank much, but it's just like I might as well have a Chinese light tank to train the crew up in, and I played the 132 back when I was like really bad. It was my first tier 8, so I do have a crew for this, and I will show you what I have picked here. So first wave of skills on all my guys is just kind of gunnery and situational awareness, so 6 tenths, smooth ride, snapshot, safe stowage, and situational awareness for that view range. Next wave I went with camo, because obviously you just want to try and get your concealment up as high as possible, being a light tank. And then Brothers in Arms to just boost everything, boost view range, boost your camo and gun handling and everything. And the next wave I've gone with Recon to improve the view range even more on the commander. Repairs on like Gunner, just because I didn't really think there was anything else like very useful. Maybe Deadeye is useful, but that's a perk, so it takes ages to get it. And on the driver I went with, what is this, off-road driving. I'd say that's probably the best thing to get. You could go with repairs again, but this, once you get to your 4th skill, it's really not as important. I've gone with repairs on this guy because anything about the radio is just completely pointless. The radio in this game does not matter at high tiers. And then for the loader again doesn't really have anything useful. So I just went with repairs for the 4th wave. After this wave, it's probably just going to be pretty miscellaneous again. Maybe firefighting because I do drop the fire extinguisher for food. It's a good time to take us into the consumables. I've just gone with large rep, large med, and rations. Obviously, I don't need these large kits. You can just replace those with the small ones. But I do think the rations are helpful just to improve your view range. Like, for example, we have 484 right now, and if we take this off, make it a AFE, it goes down to 462, and obviously your DPM goes down by about 100. Concealment's going to go down a little bit, so I think it is worth running that. And you're not like, once you're getting shot once or twice, you're dead anyway, so fire isn't really too much of an issue, honestly. But obviously, if I'm playing Strongholds and trying to make credits, I will run it like this with the small and just the fire extinguisher, and obviously I will cut my gold down to something like that and fire AP in those Stronghold. Okay, so here we are in a random battle. It's a tier 9 game on airfield. Just about the worst possible matchmaking you could get here. Tons of tier 9 heavies, tier 9 mediums, tank destroyers in the new team, and tier 8s. And so this is about the worst it's going to get. Even with 45 gold rounds, we're going to have trouble making the pens happen. But we're going to do our best spotting and getting opportunity shots. So we come up here to light the crossing in this bush, since we look at the enemy team comp and no one's really going to run into us except that RU getting here. But we're now up in this bush safe. This is a good spot to come and get some spots, but it is subject to blind fire, and if you get lit, you can get punished. But we should be fine because we do have our good count rating. And our team has progressed down this flank, and it's just kind of usually ends up being a heavy brawl down here, so we don't really want to get involved in that. We just want to look for opportunities. You will see a lot of light tanks coming up in the B line here. I don't really like to play like that. I feel like you can just get too exposed, and it's kind of hard to fall back if your team starts losing. But what happens here is they have pushed down the south over here. And I fall off because since I got spotted, I didn't want to get shot from their base. So I fell down here to get safe, and we're going to go over here and see if we can punish this push that they've made. Now these tanks are all really aggressive and they're really exposed right now. But they are killing our team, so we probably can't stay here long. So we're going to put some shots into this ST, which is something that we can actually easily penetrate. I don't go for the kill because it's just, you do not want to risk getting shot in this tank. I probably would have gotten shot by the Patriot, or shot at least. I didn't want to make that risk. So we're going to come up here. We're retreating already because, as you can see, it's just left over there. It's just a D54E1, and he's going to die pretty soon. So there's nothing we can really do except die as well if we go there. But what we're doing now is we're falling back into our base, and they're going to be totally exposed. Their side will totally be exposed to our fire if we do this. So we're coming in these bushes, and we're going to have camo, so we're just getting our gun depression here, and we are able to take out the STA too. And we're not spotted because we double bushed there. The bush was opaque, so they didn't see us. And now we can just, oh, we did get spotted there. We were shooting at 130 meters, so I mean, what do you expect? And we're just going to wait a few seconds. The despotting mechanic is it's RNG based on 5 to 10 seconds, so we just wait a few seconds after 5, and you'll probably be fine to poke out again. And we see that this Patriot is being aggressive, and we can penetrate his side. So what do we have? 177 pen, that's fine for going through the side of most tanks that you'll come up against. And that was kind of a bad shot, that was a waste. But we got one right into the side of his turret. And now we've got a 5100 that kind of appeared. I didn't really notice him, but luckily he didn't come and clip us. And he's not really paying attention to us. He's looking down at our tanks that have gone down the bowl here. And our U is just rolling over. Basically the enemy team's been really aggressive this whole game. So we're alone in the base here, and there's 2 tier 8s. So we don't really want to go fight them head on. But I see this this Patriot with low hit points, and he's facing away from us. So if I come through here and look through this bush, I can shoot him right in the back, and now he's a one-shot for us. Doesn't matter that he spots us, we can kill him. Alright, so now I know I'm lit, so I know the 5100 knows I'm here. So I just want to be careful. I don't want to go anywhere up to him where he can shoot me, or I can't run away from him. But it looks like he's still not paying attention to me, and he's still just trying to get shots on our friendly tanks down there. So we can just come up behind him and start putting shots. The 5100 doesn't really have much armor, so we don't really need to aim for weak spots or anything. And he still doesn't really care that we're here. But we do have to be careful, because if he turns around, he is a pretty fast tank, so he could come hurt us and just clip us out. So that's why I put what shots I can in, and he's starting to pay attention to us now. So we just need to get out of here. That last shot I took him was kind of bad, because if it missed, it could have taken down the building, and that could have given him a line of fire. But luckily our allies take him out there. So we've basically cleared the south, but we've also lost the north, and our team is just left with tank destroyers camping back here. So they should probably just get overrun when all these heavies push into them. But I see on our minimap the last spotted, there's a Type 64 that was last spotted down here. So I want to go see if I can 1v1 him. And I see this Centurion, and it looks like all their tanks are crossing, and it's kind of a perfect opportunity to get in damage, so I want to see if I can get into a safe position where I can do that. And we notice the Type 64 got killed, so we don't have to worry about anything in the south, because all their tanks are in the north. So this is just what you want. We have range between us and the enemy, and we can just work with it. I see this VK has gone down here into the low ground, so I want to see if I can take this opportunity to get some shots into his side. And this E75 here. This is what you want to find. You want to find these opportunities. So the E75, we made the bush opaque, so he's probably not going to spot us. But we're also kind of having trouble getting the gun depression. Not because we have bad gun depression, just because it's just a really awkward position to have the bush opaque and have the gun depression. This E75, he's, even though we're shooting on the side, he's still poking out here. At this point, I'm kind of worried that this VK might be coming up. But if we do spawn him, we should be able to fall back. So the problem, I didn't poke there because I saw that the bush wouldn't cover us and we'd just get spotted. And I don't want to have an E75 looking at me when I get spotted. Because he can take off 90% of our hit points, or one-shot us even. And we were spotting there, anticipating that. And we can see these tanks across here. I do get spotted because I couldn't make the bush opaque and get shots at the same time. So I see the Yag Tigers looking at me, and this Foch is going to come up, and he'll be able to shoot me eventually, so I just want to run out of here. I'm no longer spotted, so I'm just safe to drive away this way. I spot the Foch and the Yag Tiger again, the VK is over there. We see the T-34 is engaging the VK, and we want to support our friendly tank here. So I want to see if I can get any shots on this VK. We can't get any shots on this VK, but since all their tanks flex back to their cap, we're safe to make this crossing, and we're going to go see if we can harass this VK and help out our T-34. So this VK should be occupied, and perfect, T-34 was able to put another shot into him. That's a good penetration. That's some good play from T-34 there. And we just go behind him, shoot him in the back, and we take him out. So looking at the minimap, I know there's a Conqueror left over here. And all their tanks, they're way back here, and they're all pretty slow tanks, except the Foch, I think, is not that slow. But I know that they're not going to be back in time to support their Conqueror, so we're going to go make sure he gets taken out. And it looks like our Tortoise will get him anyway. Yeah, so the Tortoise gets him, and if the Tortoise didn't get him, we could have easily secured that as well. we're not spotted, which isn't really too much of a problem, because there's no one that's going to have a line of fire on me at this point, and I'm going to be doing that right now. So I'm coming up here, making this crossing. I want to see if there's any tanks crossing through the mid area here in like the E line, and see if I can ISO anyone and just circle them out. So they've got 2 tier 9 tanks left. We've been able to bring back this game, but the E75 does have a ton of hit points, and we do only have 16 shells left. But we do have these nice rear shots in the E75, and this is really nice. This is really nice for me. Shooting the side of the turret, back to the rear, and I'm not risking getting another shot in because I do not want him to snap around the turret and just take us out. He's now a one shot, but he's pointing at us. So we're just waiting. Maybe the T-34 will be able to get a finishing shot in. He doesn't, so we're just gonna flex around, see what we can do. And the T-34, there we go, kills him. So now it's just the Yag Tiger left. And we know he's somewhere in the middle. So at this point I was gonna go cap, because he's gonna take a long time to get back to cap, and there's so much cover on these caps. That it's, if he comes back, I could probably just juke him out and win the game by capping, but he was already back in the base. And I was greedy for damage at this point. So I start going to the cap, but it is too late now. So I thought, well, we can still, this is fine, we can still win. I could have started capping there and relied on the T-34 to get resets, but I don't want to rely on that. The T-34, I don't know if he would be able. It's just you don't want to rely on your teammates in this situation. So I thought the best chance for us to win here, or a chance that we could make sure we won, was to go kill him and reset. He does have full hit points, which is a problem, so I will need the T-34 to shoot him a bit. Which at this point I was thinking it should not be a problem for the T-34 to kill him when I'm circling him and he's distracted. So here I type in chat, I don't have ammo to kill. Hopefully T-34 realizes that and doesn't just suicide. Haha. So we come in here and he is facing T-34. T-34 just drives up right in front of the gun of him and takes a shot he really shouldn't have. We were able to go behind him and shoot him in the back, but the T-34 just sits in front of his gun for some reason and literally suicides. So this is really problematic, because we've been shooting him while he was shooting the T-34 and killing the T-34 for free. The T-34 didn't even put in like a single shot there, which is really disappointing. It's like, honestly, just why? And now we have 5 shots and he's on cap. So we can't just go cap and win, because he's already capping our base, and we can't kill him unless we set him on fire or ammo rack him. So the best thing I can hope for now is ammo rack or fire or draw. So I mean, I think he's probably facing this way, so I just want to see if I can poke out somewhere and get behind him and start shooting him again and hope for that ammo rack or fire. So I'm just waiting here for a while. We have 50 seconds left on the cap. I don't really need to make a move anytime soon. I know it's safe to go down here, because unless he's sitting like right there. So we use these buildings as cover. We come up. I'm going to use this tree and bush to look through. And he's sitting over there. He did not spot us there, which is quite nice. Camo. And we can circle him now. So we drive to his side. I make some bad shots now. This is just kind of embarrassing. So I shouldn't have taken that shot, because that's not going to set him on fire there. We're behind him. There's nothing he can do. So really, what you should do in this situation is just take your time. Make sure you don't fluff your shots like I'm about to do. That was stupid. That was a waste. Penetrate another one into his engine. Pretty sad at this point. And we track him and get a fire at the same time. This is quite nice that we get the fire. It looks like he had made maybe a manual fire extinguisher or firefighting skill, and it went out pretty quick. And we've just taken our last shot, and he still has hit points left. So we obviously can't ram him. If we ram him, he'll probably take nothing and we'll just die completely. And there's no way we can win. There's a minute left in the game, he's on cap, and we have no ammo. So, all I'm doing now is just waiting to draw it out. What he's doing is I guess the right thing. He's trying to push us up against a wall, but I mean, there's not really any way that, yeah, so we just run away here, and we just sit under here, and we're gonna wait for the draw, which is a pretty disappointing way to end that game, but there wasn't much I could do about it. So, Type 64, just don't fluff your shots, don't take too many blind shots, and make sure you don't run out of ammo in these situations. But you're going to run out of ammo when you have to hard carry like this, because 45 shells isn't really enough. Right, so for our draw here, we got 5,723 XP. Got an ace tanker, an Orlix medal for killing 2 tanks or tank destroyers, 2 tiers higher, a defender medal. So here we got some crazy damage, Type 64, 4,600, 15 here, 4 kills, which is very high for Type 64. I've only seen like a few replays on the website with higher damage than this, so really good damage there. And if we penetrated a few more shells on the Egg Tiger, it would have been even better. We still managed to make credits with a premium account. Without premium, it would be a rip. Spending 126k on ammo because we're shooting all gold. And we still just didn't lose credits, which is fine. This tank really isn't for making credits, it's more just like stat padding, I guess. But that was just a pretty crazy game, regardless. It would be nice if we were able to win, but what are you going to do when you run out of ammo like that? Alright, well that wraps up my review of the Type 64. I hope everyone enjoyed and found it at least helpful. Type 64, I would say it's a fun tank to play in skirmishes. It's kind of fun in pubs, not that competitive, but it's also not that bad. I wouldn't bring it to any tournaments in Tier 6, because the T-37 basically outclasses it on almost every aspect. But it doesn't mean it's a bad tank, it's still a good tank. I'd recommend picking it up. You can train your Chinese light tank crew if you wish so, and it's also pretty good for stat padding if you want to pad your stats. I wouldn't use it to try and pad your win rate though, since not really that good for handling the outcome of battles as we saw in that last game. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.